a slight question from one of the super chatters. Let me go up here real quickly. We got a $20 super chat. Let's get us some cheers as well.
Billy.
Billy, who is actually who I was. What the hell? Sorry,
Yes.
my computer. Go ahead and read it because my computer.
So I don't have it either, but he was asking what we thought about the Tucker Carlson interview with Candace Owens where they attacked Nick Fuentes.
Let's go straight. Let's do the hot seat to Olivia. Are you familiar with this beef and what you don't have to have an opinion if you don't, but what do you think about that? Are you familiar with the fight going on between Tucker, Candace, and
I have
Fuentes?
no idea what you're talking about.
Well, Milo,
Really?
Candace, and Tucker are all simultaneously hating on Nick Fuentes. So
For
that's
what?
sort of.
I think right now, like they said this. Look, I think he. Let me see if I can. You bring it up real fast. Nick responded to Milo. You can just
Nick responded to Elon and ratioed him.
can you bring some of this up real fast?
Yeah, I have it. I have it
you have
right
a
in
computer in
front of
there
me.
too, by the way.
Do you want to switch to
well,
my
first of all,
screen?
it's huge. I can't put it here, and and the NDI is not set up yet. So
No, I know. I
couldn't
was
do
gonna
it
say
yet.
if you want to look it up though, but if you could bring up some of the stuff.
I have it on my phone.
Can you tell us?
I'm monitoring the situation
You
very
know,
closely.
you're monitoring it. So can you lay it down for the audience who doesn't know what's going on? Because not everyone follows e-drama. What's going on?
Yeah, so basically Candace responded to Nick. She was inviting him back out for like a debate or something. Nick essentially said like, okay, you're being a dramatic bitch in his words. You're not worth my time. And then now Elon is responding to some of Milo's messages, implying that Nick is a Fed because he wasn't arrested for J6. But it's my understanding that Nick didn't cooperate with anyone, with any of the FBI. He pled the fifth the entire time, and also he never crossed the threshold, and that kind of answers the question. But I think Nick said that he'll be talking about some of those things on the show tonight. And also, he said that he's going to be talking about on the show tonight at 9 p.m. Central, which is early for him, so you know it's important. So that's kind of what I've got from the situation so far. But I've just been scrolling Twitter for the last hour, just keeping up with it. But yes, Elon did actually respond to Milo's tweet, and let me check because
I have it in front of me.
Yes. So last I saw,
What is it? Can you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Milo said, he retweeted someone's video. Nick Fuentes on J6. We're taking the Capitol back. Keep marching. Don't relent. Break down the barriers and disregard the police. This Capitol belongs to us now. How has he not been arrested? And Milo says no charges because Nick was one of the 30 or so confidential informants working for the FBI on J6 to entrap voters. His victims were tortured for years in jail. At least 5 are dead. And Elon Musk commented, underneath it. That got 2.6K likes. Nick responded, I was on Bill Barr's enemy list in September 2021, according to Project Veritas, with photos. He brought receipts. I was subpoenaed in January 2022 by the House Select Committee and testified under oath that I was never involved with federal law enforcement. And that is at 13,000 likes. So he has heavily ratioed Elon Musk.
So Elon Musk is calling Nick a Fed?
He didn't say anything.
no, he did. He said,
Yeah, he said,
He
Brought
just
more
said,
attention to it.
because I mean,
Yeah.
like Elon doesn't even put in, like enough thought to actually put in a coherent sentence. He'll just put like an exclamation point or something once he responds to something. But yeah, he has like 2,000 likes on his tweet, and then Nick's response to him has like 13,000 or something
And
now. So
at the time, Nick was a martyr. They would have made him a martyr. They completely blocked him from every social media platform. He was irrelevant. Nobody was talking about him. The worst thing that they could have done was brought his voice back to life. They thought he was dead. They thought they were going to never hear from him again. So I think that's part of the reason why they didn't bring charges, because if they would have brought charges, then theoretically they would have been literally bringing him back to life, and that's what they didn't want.
Yeah, let me address this, though. As somebody who was there on January 6th, somebody who was in the Capitol, I saw Nick there at the place. I didn't hear him say a speech. And I'm going to tell you this as somebody, this is a total non-biased interaction. I am 100% confident that Nick is not a federal informant and is not an agent by any means. And I'll explain to you exactly why. And I've refuted this multiple times, okay? Whether or not I knew the guy, whether or not, I had him on the show, I would say the same thing. I know what the federal informants did. And I also know that these same people that are accusing him of being a Fed have done the same thing to me. There was a guy named John Schaefer, not to be confused with my dad, but there was a guy named John, spelled differently. And he did actually cooperate with the federal authorities, okay? And I bring this up because I wasn't charged formally as well. I was investigated by the DOJ. It's a very public thing. You can even look it up for wiretapping for being there. And there's a snippet that says like Schaefer then cooperated with authorities and gave over names and whatever. It's from an indictment from another person, yet these same people accusing him as a Fed share that all the time to say that I was a federal informant. So I know that they're not good faith. They're not arguing in good faith. They're trying to set people up. Now, I also know that they confuse why some people were not charged and some people were. Here's the difference on what happens. If you were in a restricted area, what Owen went down for was being in a restricted area. So if you were there, that's what everyone got the trespassing charges, right? That was the big one. The other charges we know have been thrown out the Supreme Court, so I won't even address those. But I am under the impression Nick was not in a restricted area, okay? Nick was investigated, though, because of the things that he said, but it's free speech. He's not saying to do anything criminal per se. The people were letting people in. So when he's saying go in and be there, he's not saying destroy property and attack police officers. He's not inciting violence. He's not inciting criminal activity. You know, saying these kinds of things all the time, people politically can just say, you know, we got to storm the Capitol. That's up for debate on what you meant by that. You know, you could be like, I meant go up to the gates and just let your voices be heard, you know, and that's why they investigate you, see what you meant, see what the intent was. Did anyone go to the Capitol and commit crimes because of something Nick said? No. And they did the same accusations to Donald Trump as well. They were saying that Donald Trump saying, go to the Capitol, make your voices heard, that's what they impeached him for. And Donald Trump was exonerated and let go and was not formally impeached or removed, or he was impeached, but he was not removed from office because it was seen that he did not encourage violence. He did not tell his followers to commit acts of violence. Nick did not do that. Secondly, the same people call him a Fed, they hate Nick. And they've been trying, they call him, gay slurs, and they say he sucked Destiny's dick, and like, it's like you can start to see this pattern that they just don't like Nick, right? For whatever reasons, whether it's personal reasons or his views, and that's fine. No one has to like him, okay? I like him, but they don't have to like him. And whether I liked him or not, I'm not going to come against somebody if they committed a legitimate crime. You know, if they really did commit a crime against the people of the United States, I would hold them accountable and say you got to pay, you know, your dues. I'd understand it, but I would hold him responsible. But on top of that, this whole idea that because he didn't get charged, that means he's a federal informant. Lots of people didn't. I didn't get charged. I've explained why I didn't get charged. I didn't get charged because I had a security clearance, which I've showed on the show before, from the Sergeant of Arms of the U.S. Capitol. I was an active licensed press for the Capitol. I was allowed to, I don't even go through the main gates. I go through the back gates with the Secret Service and stuff to get in. People have, like Ed and stuff. People have a White House press badge. We have a Jordan Conradson, our Rift guy. He has a press badge. He's in the White House today, right? People can be in federal buildings with license from the government. Now, they go, well, you didn't go through proper security. Well, this is where the nuance comes in. I didn't get charged the same reason why BBC, who was with me, didn't get charged, why the New York Post didn't get charged, why the New Yorker didn't get charged. Because when you start charging licensed individuals who had a license to cover news events, that becomes a Supreme Court issue, a First Amendment issue. And that's what the Nick issue is. It's like, if they're going to charge Nick for his speech, incitement or whatever, this would be a international issue. It would raise his profile up to places where it's kind of where it is now, but like you said, they thought they got rid of him, and they didn't want to give him any more credence. They wanted to get rid of Trump, right? They kicked Trump off the internet. They kicked him off the internet. They thought they finished all of us. And so the last thing they wanted to do was to make us martyrs, right? To be able to go and say, and win, because we would have won in the Supreme Court. They knew it was a farce. So I'm just going to say this. People don't like Nick, and you're not going to see genuinely good-hearted, good-faith journalists saying that Nick is a Fed or any of these things. And I can guarantee you any of these people saying that Nick is a Fed, they've probably also just said a bunch of other slurs and things against him, showing that there is a bad faith line of personal vendettas, personal attacks against him. And, you know, and what's sad is I get attacked for just for just telling the truth about him, you know? And it's like, I'm telling you, so my reputation as a journalist too. You know, I know why people didn't get charged. I understand why some people didn't. And I understand it makes some people mad because some people got charged that shouldn't have. And I think the key thing is nobody should have gotten charged for that day except for the people who committed acts of violence against police officers. But even then, I think because it was a setup and it was entrapment, everyone should have their charges dropped. I do think that generally speaking, because it was government entrapment. So it was incorrect. Like I think it was preventable, and they were brought into an illegal entrapment, which makes then all of the charges incorrect and false, right? It's absolutely stupid. It's like handing someone a gun that hates President Trump, putting it to Trump's head and being like, well, he killed Trump. And it's like, you're the criminal. You set this up. You're the guy who assisted in the crime. So I'll just end here. You know, maybe this sounds a little bit like whatever, but we know that Elon doesn't like Fuentes. We know that Milo doesn't like Fuentes. And Milo and I are fine. Now, I don't have any problems with Elon. Elon just gave me my monetization back. You know, whatever. Our personal relationships don't matter, and I'm not attacking them. But it's like, look, accusing someone of being a federal informant when I can tell you for a fact that Fuentes will definitely not give up any information about his own followers, his people. He protects them, even behind the scenes. I'm not a groyper. I'm not in the movement, but I can tell you that that movement is a protectionary movement, and he had no reason. And then they froze his money. They punished him. He was under deposition. You can read it. He didn't commit a crime, and that's why. And so it's like, shut the fuck up, everybody, with this whole like, are we going back to this? And the only reason why they're going back to it is because he's on a generational run right now. Mm-hmm. He's basically more famous than he's ever been. That's what they're mad about. They're mad that he's famous right now, and I give him credit for that. He's doing very, very, very exquisite job at making an impact. And what they don't want is any leader for young, white, disaffected men. That's what they don't want. They don't want white men and white grievance to become a real issue. He's voicing that. That's why they're actually mad at him. They don't care about anything else. And quite frankly, the whole reason why these people are going to jump on him is because why? He's telling the truth about Jewish institutional power, and they don't want people knowing about that. So I think this is full of shit. The whole accusations of the Fed. I don't know if anyone else has an opinion on it. I know he's not, genuinely. And I'm like, this is one hill I will die on. And I did. Who was it that was on the show that was saying he was a Fed last time? And I was like,
Gerard Michaels.
Yeah, it was Gerard Michaels. And I did the same spew that back then too. So I've been consistent. This is not something I made up tonight. This has been for years. I've said the same thing. So please put the energy on January 6th for the real criminals behind it, which are the politicians like Nancy Pelosi that intentionally entrapped Americans and created a great social divide to rig an election in 2020 and make you accept it because no one would have showed up to the inauguration, so they had to have high security so that no one would be there. Please, please, please save me the accusations. You guys are welcome to disagree with me on that. He disagreed with me, but I think it lays to rest. You can go watch his show. You should at 9 Central. It's 10 o'clock Eastern, our time, right when this show ends, basically. But the dude's not a Fed. Please shut the fuck up and be real and just stop. Why are you trying to attack this little guy? If he's nobody and he's got, everyone has talked shit on him. If you think he's this, gay little Fed or whatever, then ignore him.
Yeah.
But why are you attacking him? Because he's got real clout and he's got real impact. So you're mad. You're jealous. And that's what I think.